Hey, what's going on, everyone? This is Mitch. Good Wednesday morning to you all. I hope you guys are doing awesome out there this morning and having a wonderful start to your day. And I hope everyone's been having a great week out there so far. There's a good bit to talk about in this morning's video, but as always, we'll start off by speaking on today's weather first. We'll speak on current conditions, the latest outlooks, and then we'll break down the country section by section. And as always, there'll be a few states that we'll zoom into that do run the higher risk of flash flooding and severe weather. After we get done talking about today's weather, we'll begin to look at the days to come as the pattern supports just a lot of flow overriding a very moist air mass. Therefore, we're just going to have day after day of severe thunderstorm chances across really the southern tier of the country. Now, does this pattern support outbreaks of severe weather? Absolutely not, but I could see a daily slight to an enhanced risk. In fact, we have a slight risk basically from today all the way through like Saturday, and I wouldn't be surprised if we ended up getting one for Sunday, even into early next week. So the pattern just supports that, so we'll speak on that. We'll nerd out with you guys, explain all the ingredients coming together that supports this pattern, and then we'll give you a brief update on the tropics. This spin trying to get its act together along the southeastern states off the coast of the southeast will eventually run out of time to do so over the next 24 to 36 hours, but it will still bring a lot of rain over the next 48 hours or so across the southeastern states. So we'll speak on all that and get very detailed. So if you guys have not subscribed, certainly consider doing that. Like the video if you like it. If anybody has anything that I can pray about or pray over, please put it in the comments below. Let's get rocking and rolling. So this is current conditions. We got a little bit of energy riding over the Rockies and through the Rockies. We got rain down here across the Four Corner states. Even some flash flood warnings here in the California-Arizona border. We got flow kind of riding over the southern Rockies into the southern high plains. So we're waking up to some rain right where Oklahoma, Texas, New Mexico connect. We got energy trailing south across Texas, and we just got energy sort of just riding over the same areas across sort of the east central areas of the country, across the Midwest, the Mississippi Valley, all the way into the Great Lakes states. And then we got this somewhat of a rotation, a spin over the areas of the southeast. We got rain making it as far north as the low country of South Carolina. Now we got some rain getting thrown into Georgia. We got heavy rain sort of off the coastline of like the southeast Florida. We got a lot of rain between Cuba and Florida. So just a lot of energy down here is what I'm trying to say. So the mid-Atlantic, the northeast, pretty quiet, so nothing to really speak on there. But moving to watches, warnings, and advisories, we do have flood watches that continue across these Greene counties in the southwest. We got flood watches across areas of Missouri and a few counties in eastern, southeastern Kansas. And outside of that, it's not super active. Now, as far as the Storm Prediction Center outlook, we do have this long marginal risk that goes from, Houston, Austin, almost San Antonio, goes right through I would say the western areas of Arkansas, southeastern areas of Missouri, through the Midwest, all the way into like a lower Michigan. So there is a level 1 out of 5 risk of severe weather. We'll get detailed on these states. And the new information is we have a slight risk for sections of New Mexico and the Panhandle and just areas of western Texas. So level 2 out of 5 risk of severe weather. The tornado outlook with this today, we do have a 2% risk right here. And then the wind threat, just in the brown areas, just a 5% risk of winds exceeding 55 to 60 miles per hour or so in those areas right there. And the hail threat, really, the atmosphere doesn't support a whole lot of hail in that marginal risk that goes across this region, but it certainly does and normally does across areas of the high plains. We got a 15% risk of hail exceeding 1 inch in diameter or larger in that slight risk area. Now, the flash flooding threat, there is kind of a trio, if you will, of areas to watch for. One, across sections of Colorado, southern Utah, northwest New Mexico, and the entire northern half of Arizona, even getting into sections of southern Nevada, almost including Las Vegas. We have a 15% risk of flash flooding occurring in this area. And then we got a 15% risk here in the Midwest of flash flooding occurring. And then along the coastal and low country areas of South Carolina, including Charleston, down to Hilton Head, pretty much down to Beaufort up to Georgetown. We got a 15% risk of flash flooding occurring right there. And just the green area is just a 5% risk. So we're going to have to section these areas off. Like I said, Tropical Tidbits is down. The site's been having a hard time lately. I know Levi's doing all he can to get that site running. It's hard to complain when it's a free site, that's for sure. But it is definitely something I hope that he gets running smoothly by the time we get deep into hurricane season, because I utilize the heck out of Tropical Tidbits when it comes to breaking down the tropics. But starting 8 a.m. This morning, HRRR model doing an okay job of figuring out where the blobs of rain and storms are. We begin to take it to about lunchtime. I do think we'll get just widespread thunderstorm activity that begins to develop across the southern half of the peninsula of Florida. Once again, I mean, no different than the last few days. And a flash flooding threat could really materialize. I mean, this is a several-hour period of a lot of heavy storm activity from basically from the west coast of Florida to the east coast of Florida. It's really like in just this area right here with scattered pop-ups elsewhere. And then we get to about 8 p.m. and some of this energy will begin to relax a little bit, but we'll still have storms probably dancing around out here. And then we start to get to say, this time tomorrow morning, and could wake up to some thunderstorm activity, but a lot of rain could fall in these regions. And just to kind of take a look here at rainfall between now and about the next 48 hours, between now and let's say about 8 a.m. It did this yesterday to me too. Let's just go 72 hours out. Sometimes the 48-hour rainfall map doesn't work, but this is between now and 8 p.m. Friday. So extends this a little bit further out, but just about the entire state of Florida gets measurable rain, and some areas 1 to as much as 3 inches of rain. So we take it up to Alabama and Mississippi. Don't want to completely ignore you guys. There is a chance of pop-up showers and storms as some energy gets more so thrown into Alabama. So around 3 p.m., watch out Auburn, Montgomery, maybe some thunderstorm activity is possible out here. And then we start to get to 5 p.m., 6 p.m., 7 p.m. Just isolated, barely scattered downpours, nothing too crazy. It's just kind of one of those days where it could be raining up the road at your neighbor's house, but nothing's going on at your house. So just be aware of that. Now, Georgia and South Carolina, it's really confined to the coastal areas, but we take it to about mid-morning. You can see plumes of moisture kind of heading into the Carolina-Georgia coastline. Then we take it to about 2 p.m. A lot of this rain sort of, I guess you would say, dries up by the time it gets to the Midlands and Augusta, Columbia, but we will get some shower activity up into these areas. Just, I don't think the widespread rain, it really has a hard time making it this far sort of northwest, if you will. But we get into about 4 p.m., just scattered tropical downpours, Charleston, Savannah, down to Tybee Island, Points Inland up to Myrtle Beach. Definitely not a good beach day for Georgia, South Carolina, Florida, heck, even getting into southeast North Carolina. But, some of the shower activity by the time we get into this evening, we'll try to make it all the way up into the Midlands, and we'll just get scattered downpours across central and southern Georgia. And then we're getting into the overnight hours, and a lot of heavy rain will begin to fall sort of in the PD, eastern areas of South Carolina. And then we get into tomorrow morning. Once again, we'll look at how much rainfall could happen between now. Let's see if the 48-hour one will work here. It will not. It's having a hard time. But rainfall between now and 8 p.m. Friday. A good 1 to as much as 2.5 inches along the South Carolina-Georgia coastline. It definitely drops off once you get, up to Columbia, Florence. Florence could get an inch of rain, but Columbia maybe around a half an inch. That's a healthy amount of rain, I would say. Not as much once you get up to like Atlanta, the Greenville, Spartanburg, Rock Hill area, but it's really confined to the coastal areas. Now, I will show you North Carolina, Virginia. This morning it's pretty quiet, but we will take it into the overnight hours. This is when some showers can make it across North Carolina. Heavier action down there near Jacksonville, Wilmington after midnight tonight. And by the time I'm waking up tomorrow morning, the actual whatever's left over of this weak low pressure could be just cruising over the eastern Carolinas. So definitely a lot of rainy times tomorrow, and we're taking it all the way into tomorrow afternoon at this point. We could actually get some stronger storms sort of in southeast North Carolina, the PD of South Carolina tomorrow afternoon, evening. I wouldn't be surprised we get a little bit of a tornado threat, a little 2% risk. I wouldn't be surprised one bit with a kind of the right area, dirty side of this little weak tropical system. But once again, we'll look at how much rainfall could happen between now and around Friday night in this area. really confined to the coastal areas of North Carolina. Wilmington, good 1 to 2 inches of rain could fall. Lightens up once you get closer to Fayetteville, Raleigh. But I mean, even you guys could get a little over a half an inch of rain. So now the Northeast, quiet, not a whole lot to speak on for you folks. Some energy will get into Ohio. I know you're not, technically part of the Northeast, but you always are included in this area. But we get into the overnight hours. I mean, this is getting late evening after midnight. We start to get some storm activity in Northwest Ohio. And then we're waking up tomorrow morning to potentially a stormy morning here in Western Ohio. We'll speak a little bit more about extreme western sections of this state here in a second. But I mean, the Northeast and the Mid-Atlantic, some clouds and rain showers will make it in overnight, but it's a pretty nice day up here. Now, getting down to South Central U.S., once again, we'll kind of section everything off. Normally, I like to take a broad look at things at first, but we really can't do that. We could find other sites, but I'm just going to stick with this. But 6 p.m., 7 p.m. this evening, this afternoon, strong to severe storm could develop around Pecos, Alpine, however way y'all pronounce it. 10 p.m., 11 p.m. kind of cruises up the interstate corridor, up to Midland, Big Spring. Just got to watch for these 1 to 2 strong to severe storms in this region. I mean, I would say 95% of this area ain't going to get a drop of rain. But if you do, it could be more than a drop of rain. It could be hailstones. So just be aware of that. There's a 2% risk of a tornado in certain areas into here, especially up here. So taking it up into New Mexico. We take it to about midday. Soon as it hits lunchtime, 1 p.m., a lot of storm activity begins to develop. Albuquerque, Santa Fe, a lot of storms could develop. And once these start to get out into sort of the eastern sections of New Mexico, you got to watch out for a little tornado threat in these areas right over here. Once you get well east of Albuquerque, you could certainly start to get some tornadic development with some of these storms. So just be aware of that. Wouldn't be surprised if we get a few tornadoes in this area out in the open today. So this is around 8 p.m. If you live in this region right here in New Mexico, just be aware of these supercells, and then they'll drift. And we actually, after midnight, could get more storms from Hobbs up to Clovis that try to develop and could pack a punch. But, rainfall in this area, let's see. Let's go 48 hours. Not going to work there either. It's between now and about Friday night. An inch or so of rain could fall in northeast New Mexico. Santa Fe could get close to an inch. It drops off significantly once you get into the southern areas of the state. So, but northern, northeastern areas of Texas, we start off mid-morning. We take it into, if you see me wipe my face a lot, like I said, our AC is down, and it's about 10 degrees warmer this morning compared to yesterday morning, and it's a lot higher humidity from that tropical moisture I just talked about off the coast. I'm here in central South Carolina, so there's a lot more humidity in our house this morning because our AC is down. Can't cycle it off or cycle it out. So my face is starting to glisten a little bit, and it's getting a little warm up in here. So if you see me do this a lot, that's because it's starting to get pretty moist in here. But 2 p.m., 3 p.m., some storms begin to fire. Nothing showing up around the Dallas-Fort Worth area, but that does not mean that it won't. So this is 4 p.m., 5 p.m., 6 p.m. Just some scattered thunderstorm activity. And this will eventually potentially kind of drift southward down to College Station. And in fact, I'll take a closer look to southeastern Texas here. Let's drop it down here. And yeah, so more organized complex of storms after midnight. This is 2 a.m. Could develop, sweep kind of southeastward. So, watch out, Waco. Let's get this in motion here. Come on. I'm sorry. I think that was that was last night. But I mean, some of the same action could form in the same areas. But as we're starting to get into, let's see these storms kind of developing around College Station, Huntsville. This is around 7 p.m., 8 p.m., 9 p.m., 10 p.m. Could get some thunderstorm development here. So I'd watch out late evening from Waco down to College Station, Alston, Huntsville, Lufkin, Brownwood. These areas right in here could get some storms later this evening. But Arkansas, we started off mid-morning. We take it to about lunchtime, 1 p.m., 2 p.m., 3 p.m. Storms mainly for the northwestern half of the state. 4 p.m., 5 p.m. And we start to just move a little bit later into the evening here. And most of the storm action is just, like I said, for the western half of the state, maybe northern areas. Not a whole lot kind of from Little Rock points east or south or east. So most of the action, say Russellville, Fort Smith, Fayetteville, Mountain Home, Hot Springs, you guys could get some scattered strong to severe storms today, but nothing too crazy. Up here in Missouri, these storms will just kind of cruise over the same corridor. So Joplin, Springfield, Rolla, up to St. Louis. I mean, they will just like to hang out around this entire corridor. This is 2 p.m., 3 p.m., 4 p.m., 5 p.m., 6 p.m. Could get a more organized complex of storms that hit St. Louis, maybe around dinner time tonight. And you see a couple stronger cells. I mean, these could definitely be severe, but these could be some supercells trying to form in the southern half of Missouri today. 7 p.m. Watch out in this area right here, Missouri. Some cells that could be sneaky, might produce a quick spin up, even though there's not really even a 2% risk of a tornado here. But just be careful. Sometimes the environment does some tricky things, but this is about midnight. Storms still widespread to the St. Louis area. And then we start to get into, say, 4 a.m., 5 a.m., 6 a.m., a stormy late night into wee hour of the morning period in southeastern Missouri. And how much rain could fall in this region? Let's take a look at it here. Ooh, it's hot in here. Let's see. 48 hours, still not working. This is rainfall between now and about the next 48 to 72 hours. But a lot of this falls just between now and the next 36 hours. So, Springfield to Rolla, 4.5 inches of rain is forecast. Columbia 2 to 3, St. Louis 2.5. A lot of rain in this area. So just be aware of that, guys. And Oklahoma could get a lot of rain too. But heading on up to Illinois and Indiana, same kind of thing in Illinois. A lot of rain will just continue to move over the same areas. Springfield, Champaign, St. Louis, we already talked about you guys. And just some of it will begin to sink southward 8 p.m. A lot of storm activity in northern areas of Indiana, kind of north of Indianapolis. And we start to get to 11 p.m., midnight, 1 a.m., 2 a.m., 3 a.m., 4 a.m., 5 a.m., 6 a.m., 7 a.m. You can see just the rain and storm and heavy rain activity sort of just cruising across the same area. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock, 9, 10, 11, midnight. Storms just cruising over the same regions in Illinois and Indiana. And eventually, as we start to get to, say, tomorrow morning, heavier storm activity will try to move into western Ohio. But I don't know if these will pack too much of a punch here. But waking up to some stormy activity tomorrow morning down there in Carbondale, maybe even Evansville. So, and then lower Michigan, I will show you guys some love up here. We'll deal with some rain showers, maybe even some storms this afternoon. And then maybe some stronger storms in southeastern lower Michigan, like Lansing, Flint, Jackson, down to Detroit. You guys could get some stronger cells maybe around dinner time tonight. I would be aware of it. But, as we get into the overnight hours, once again, just like we just discussed for Missouri, Illinois, Indiana, the rain will just kind of trail over the same area. Just a boundary that's sort of moving very slowly, stalled. And if that boundary is not moving much, kind of a cold front boundary, then the avenue of where all the rain and storm activity does not really shift. So one thing I forgot to show was rainfall for Illinois and Indiana, but this is rainfall in areas of lower Michigan. Once you get into that pink color, that's over an inch of rain. Detroit going for about an inch of rain between now and the next 2 days or so. And we'll knock it back down to Illinois and Indiana. A good bit of rain in this area. So, now moving out west, ain't a whole lot to talk about for the Northern Rockies, but for the Four Corners region, a lot of rain spinning around. Boom, this is about early afternoon. You can see a lot of thunderstorm activity firing up in the Four Corner states. Some of these could pack a punch, especially in New Mexico, which we've already talked about. But watch out in Colorado too, southern Colorado. Be careful of these storms here. These could be strong to severe, and even up into Denver as we're getting into late this afternoon to this evening, could get some storm activity, could produce some small hail. And then we start to get into tomorrow morning, and we'll probably do it all over again tomorrow. But a lot of rain could fall in this region. Let's see. Between now and the next couple days for you guys as standards. So definitely some areas can get over an inch once you get into these pink colored areas. I know I don't have towns and cities pulled up. I've gotten so spoiled with pulling that up for you guys that it tears my nerves up just to look at these maps. So I don't look at Weather Bell much anymore. I love Weather Bell for winter, but it doesn't show towns and cities like Pivotal Weather does. And even though I like the graphics probably from Weatherbell more, Pivotal Weather, I can zoom in individual states and it shows towns and cities and stuff. So, but temperatures, got to do it this way. But 80s, I mean, upper 80s all the way up into the Northeast. A warm day, cooler air in areas of Georgia and the Carolinas because of this clouds and rain and everything like that. Thank the good Lord, because our AC's out. Upper 80s and 90s here in the western deep south, and we take it to the central U.S. Enjoy a little bit of this break across Texas. Now, southern Texas is still hotter than Hades, but northern Texas, 70s and 80s, it's not that bad at all. More of a spring kind of look, late spring, but I mean, this is nice. I mean, upper 70s for the upper Midwest. It's pretty nice across the middle of the country. And then this is the western U.S. right here. So, pretty nice out west. Now, moving forward here, an active pattern looks to be setting up. Really starting today, but really getting into tomorrow. So it's a weird, large, I mean, it's pretty huge marginal risk that starts in the high plains and goes all the way across areas of the Ohio Valley into New England. So a level 1 out of 5 risk of severe weather for this dark green area. But the highest risk of severe weather is going to be in this area right here in the slight risk that includes Oklahoma, Kansas, Texas, New Mexico, and areas of Colorado. Right now, we have a 5% risk of a tornado. That's definitely a little bit more than what we were thinking yesterday for this area. So 5% risk of a tornado for the panhandle of Oklahoma, Texas, and the southwest Kansas, extreme southeast areas of Colorado, a very small section of New Mexico. Then we got the 2% risk in the green going all the way to Oklahoma City, all the way down to Midland, just about San Angelo. Well, no, I'm in Fort Stockton is what I meant to say. So it's definitely a higher tornado risk day for tomorrow. Now, the wind threat, 15% risk of winds exceeding 55 to 60 miles per hour. And the hail threat, 15% risk of hail exceeding 1 inch in diameter or larger. But in this area right here, Liberal, Dodge City, down to Guyman, you guys in this region have a 10% risk of significant sized hail, 2 inch in diameter or larger. So, now, zooming back out of this region and then going to this and then going to that. Check it out, day 3. This is for Friday. Large, even larger slight risk. Pretty large marginal risk too, but that slight risk, we'll talk about that. Going from southeast Colorado, the plains of extreme eastern New Mexico, the panhandle of Texas and Oklahoma, and going all the way through the rest of Oklahoma, large section of Arkansas, southern Missouri, all the way into the mid-south, including sections of Mississippi, Alabama, Georgia, a good chunk of Tennessee, up into Kentucky, extreme southern areas of Indiana and Illinois. Level 2 out of 5 risk of severe weather already. Marginal risk gets all the way into the Carolinas, and then all the way up the Ohio Valley. So right now, all we know is that there is a 15% risk of severe weather within 25 miles in a given location. That's all we know right now. Active pattern, guys. And then we take a look at day 4. This is Saturday. Slight risk once again, level 2 out of 5. Going from the southern high plains all the way into the areas of the Carolinas. So this is my neck of the woods. We got a level 2 out of 5 risk of severe weather. You read the discussion here, and it really just discusses, in my opinion, what's likely going to be, and it doesn't really say this actually word for word here. Well, it does. It says another active day characterized by ongoing mesoscale convective systems. So, and I really think that's what's going to drive this pattern. I don't think you're going to have outbreaks of tornadoes. I think you'll have days where you'll have 2 to 5% risk of tornadoes. But this is really going to be a damaging wind deal where you're going to have waves of, I would say, lines of strong to severe storms, sort of. Like I said, just mesoscale convective systems, which is a fancy word to say intense lines of storms. So we'll just watch that. But, talking about the pattern and what's setting this up, it's honestly quite simple as far as me explaining it to you guys. I know you guys as the audience, rely on me to explain this in a way where you guys can understand. But this is the flow at mid-levels in the atmosphere, about 18,000 feet, 500 millibars here. So The slashes of purple and the blue you see on your screen, that's flow in that level of the atmosphere. So we start off tomorrow morning, you'll notice most of our flow is over this region right here. This doesn't tell everything. You know, there's surface features in lower levels of the atmosphere, like 4,000 to 6,000 feet, the low-level jet. But this is a great way to look at our pattern. So there's a lot of flow riding over the southern plains. And, you know, once we get into Friday, let's take it about Friday. Let's go to about Friday evening. Our more enhanced flow kind of scoots over this region, kind of Oklahoma, Kansas, Missouri, Arkansas, and then that exit region of the jet is right here. So we're going to have severe weather also in Kentucky, Tennessee, a little bit of light flow, 20, 25 knots into the Carolinas. And what you'll notice here is this is kind of going like this. See if we can draw on this. Kind of riding up a little bit from the southwest, kind of going like this and kind of dipping back down. So it's going over a little bit of a ridge in place down here. So just riding over that ridge like that. So all of our energy scooting across this region now. We start to get into what our Saturday, severe weather day expected also. We're going to have to go up here and probably re-click this to show it some attention here. We get through our Saturday. Oh, pivotal weather, man. You are a finicky little thing. Well, we get in our Saturday. Are you going to work now? Okay, here we go. Oh, got a cat in here. Cool. Saturday afternoon, our flow begins to kind of sink a little bit further southward. So it's really down here, and this is overlapping a very moist tropical air mass, which is normal in early June for the south down here. So we're probably going to have complexes of storms with this flow overriding a pretty moist air mass. And as far as that moist air mass that it's overriding, here it is. This is Thursday, very moist air. Dew points in the 60s and 70s. Most of our flow for Thursday is right here in this region. And then we start to move into, say, Friday. All right. Dew points deep in the 70s. I mean, not just 70 degrees, but like 75 along the Mississippi Delta area. So a lot of tropical moisture, you know, flexing here. Huge area of moist air going all the way up into the plains, into the Ohio Valley. Heck, it's getting very humid all the way up into New England. So there's a lot of moist air. And with most of our flow sort of overriding for Friday, kind of this area right in here, we're going to have overlapping thermodynamics and kinematics that support severe weather. Our wind energy and then our moist air. So, and there's other things that characterize thermodynamics and things like that, like lapse rate, surface temperatures, Cape values. But, you know, we start to get into Saturday. Hopefully this will move. It is awesome. We get into Saturday afternoon, same thing. And the majority of that flow we just talked about sort of sinks a little bit further south. But, I mean, it is overriding a very moist air mass. Dew points in the 70s. That is very humid air. Remember, and I say this every once in a while, when you're looking at your weather apps, guys, don't measure how humid it is outside off that humidity percentage. It's going to lead you astray. Look at dew points, which are available on those weather apps too. If your dew points are in like the 50s or lower, then it's not going to be that humid outside. You start to get into the 60s, especially low 60s, you know, you can start to say, hey, all right, man, I can feel a little touch of dampness outside or moist air. You get into upper 60s, low 70s, that's when you notice, okay, it's humid outside. So dew points in the 60s and 70s, widespread. And this is seasonable type stuff down here. I mean, this is normal. But in response to those higher dew points, of course, most of your Cape is going to hang out kind of around this area because that's where your best moist area is. You'll get a little bit up here too, especially for, you know, tomorrow where we'll have a severe weather threat for New England. But we'll take it just through Friday. You can see just a lot of Cape, a lot of storm energy, storm fuel building, bubbling up here. And then we'll get into Saturday, same deal. A lot of convective energy in the atmosphere to support a lot of thunderstorm activity. And heck, we'll even take it into, say, Sunday. We're probably going to have a severe weather threat for Sunday also for certain areas. Just confidence is low, so they haven't, you know, dropped a level 2 out of 5 risk or anything yet. But, you know, taking a look at what the surface is saying based off the Euro, it's going to be kind of hard to see. This is tomorrow. We got a lot of thunderstorm activity even across the Northeast, the Ohio Valley. But, you know, we start to get into Friday here. this is what I'm talking about. I know it's kind of hard to see. You see this complex of storms right here going across areas of Tennessee. The Euro does a great job of picking up on stuff like this. It's just not very detailed like the short range model guidance. But, you got to watch Friday across areas of the Mid-South. We could have rounds of thunderstorms. It could be quite intense. And then we get into Saturday, and that is a pretty nasty looking line of storms swooping across areas of the Southeast. So definitely could be a stormy day across the Southeast Sunday. And then we'll get into, Saturday. Then we get into Sunday, and looks like even more rounds of storms down here. So definitely an active period, but like I said, it's nothing that screams severe weather outbreaks, guys. So an update on the tropics right now. See if we have a new update. We don't, but I don't think anything's going to change. It's held at about a 10% risk. Still, like I said, 10% risk of this little area of energy along and just off the east coast of Florida to develop into a depression or a named storm. But it's very low. It's probably not going to happen at this point unless it just does it right at the last second. But we're still watching some energy that will slip into this region off the coast of the Southeast. It'll be over the Gulf Stream area of water in the low 80s. And just taking a look at the satellite, this is it right here. You see the blow up and convection. Those colder cloud tops indicated by the blacks and the reds right here. The stronger these storms, the higher up the updrafts go. And the higher up they go, the colder it gets. So this is indicated by the colors you see here. And we'll talk more about this when we're really breaking down, something more significant in the tropics. But this is just a huge area of unorganized thunderstorm activity. And you can see how it's beginning to climb up into Georgia and the Carolinas now with some of these cloud tops. So just a big mess. It's typically kind of stuff you see early in hurricane season, but nothing concerning. Don't let any headlines fool you. It's not a knock on any other YouTubers or people, but it might say, this is concerning. This is, we need to watch it, but don't let anybody tell you that this is going to be devastating. Now, you never know when it's going to be really bad for somebody, because you could have one or two homes that certainly could be flooded from just a odd situation or something like that. There's always, I guess you would say, anomaly situations, stuff like that. But overall, this is not really concerning at all, and typical run-of-the-mill early hurricane season type stuff. So that's all I got, guys. Thank y'all for tuning in. That video went a lot longer than I thought it was going to, but here we are. I do want to say, and let me get off this and stop it right here, and I'll talk for a minute or two. I do want to say, Robin, a very loyal viewer who lives up in Vermont, so I definitely, if she says it, then I definitely believe it here, because she watches just about every video, I think. But she says that there's been a little bit of a lag between my words coming out my mouth and the audio. And I spent probably an hour or so on and off yesterday kind of just syncing up some videos with the video yesterday morning, and older videos, the videos yesterday morning, and stuff like that. And I did notice it, and I don't know how long it's been going on. I don't think anything with the move I did from my bedroom here, I didn't really tweak any settings or anything like that. The only thing I can think it is, because I am hooked up with my Ethernet cable, so it's not like I'm running off Wi-Fi, which could affect that. The only thing that I can think it is that I've always told you guys the computer, my PC down here that I run all this off of, I mean, it is not a high-end computer. Like a lot of people that probably do what I do on YouTube, that have any kind of success, probably have a computer setup that's maybe thousands of dollars. I mean, maybe at least $1,000 to $2,000. My computer setup down here at my feet, I got it off Amazon. It was probably $400 or $500. I mean, so it's not a high-end computer. So I think that my storage is starting to get kind of backed up on my computer too. I don't know if that would fix it. I don't even know if it's that noticeable. But I noticed it, especially when I was looking at my phone. But if that distracts you guys, I do apologize, because it would distract me. I totally get it. But there's still things that I'm gradually working through. I've made the first step by bringing everything out my bedroom into my own little space, which I'm very happy about. I love it. But there's those other steps to this too, and I don't want to rush it. And I certainly don't want to go rush and buy $1,000, $2,000 computer right now. I think I might, just continue to ask my friends and stuff like that what they think. And but I really think it has something to do with probably my computer getting a little bit old. It's probably running low on storage, and I also just think that there's a lot hooked up now, and I think it is almost time to kind of upgrade the computer and invest in a better PC and stuff like that. But right now, we're just going to keep it rolling. Hopefully, it's not too much of a distraction. Also, know 100% that the bigger reason it does it is probably because I have so many tabs pulled up. And my computer is probably just like, dude, chill out. So it's trying to run all of that. But I've always done that, and I've never had anybody say anything about the lag in audio. So I don't know if my computer's getting worn down anyways. I'm just kind of rambling. But anyways, appreciate you guys. Love you guys. I'm excited about the future with the channel. But just trying to be patient with it and trusting God's timing. God bless all y'all. Have a wonderful day, and we'll talk to you tomorrow morning.